Hello YouTubers and welcome back to the Matthew V21688 studios. And I have three Skype guests in the forms of Newkirk G-Man 2, Justin271995, and Rodney1279.
Hello. And I don't mean to be rude, but for this video, I'm going to remain quiet and just play real.
Yeah, okay, that's perfectly fine with me. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because it's kind of pains me to do this, but I have seen Rodney1279 do a similar video to this, and so I already said that was going to apply to my channel too. But anyways, the one thing that I mean is I've had to issue another yellow card to a user, and that user is somebody that we know well, and unfortunately that person is Leafs fan 18. And the reason why Mark has earned himself a yellow card is because, according to what Rodney said, Rodney, why don't you tell us what he did?
Pleasure. What Mark did was he gave away an outcome to a certain episode of Wheel of Fortune. And that's a no-no on my channel.
That is.
And, yeah, because the other thing that I want to add to is this. He did a video right after me, after I did my announcement video about the rule, no giving out the episodes on various game shows. So he did a video right after me and reiterated what I just said on his video about not giving out the outcomes of game shows. And he did it himself. So I think that was hypocritical.
Yeah. And the one thing I've also noticed, I even brought this up on your video, Rodney, while I was at work, because I was able to Skype from my phone at the time. And the one thing that I've also noticed about Mark is that, I'm going to put my phone down here, just because I was checking to see if it sent me in on Skype. The one thing that I've noticed about Mark is that whenever it comes to people with good ideas, like, say, or a new host like on Millionaire with Cedric the Entertainer, like you said, he instantly looked at it as a bad idea.
Yeah, he didn't even get the chance to really look at the episodes yet. He only been hosting the show for about, it'll be 2 months soon. And people need time to, better their hosting skills and stuff. But what he told me was the reason why he did not like Cedric the Entertainer is not because he can't host well, but it's because he did not like him wearing hats on the show. In other words, with his fashion statement, he did not like his fashion statement with him wearing hats.
Now that is just, yeah. And I'm going to say, Mark, that is just flat out wrong. Because people need time. I don't care if you're in this business for 20 years or 2 years. These things take time. And Mark, judging from how much that you've left about Cedric the Entertainer, you didn't give him the time of day just to get himself worked out. Because it's just like riding a new motorcycle, just like, maybe like riding a new bicycle or motorcycle or the new brand years. Because I've noticed that when the motocross season comes about, this is an example, by the way. An example of this is because Yamaha came out with their '07 models, and they said that the bike wouldn't turn. It just wanted to go straight. Then when they brought the '08 Yamaha out, they could lean the bike a lot more. And that just comes from, well, maybe that's not quite an example, but depending on how you want to look at it. But Mark, the bottom line is, you got to give people time. And right now, you're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And also...
I mean, how would you like... No, go on, sorry.
No. Go ahead, Justin. If you were gonna say something, go right ahead.
How would you like it if that sort of thing happened to you, Mark? How would you feel if someone only judged you after you only met them for like 1 day or something or other? They said you were a bad person or something or other. How would you like that?
Justin's got a good
She would
point.
not think. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's all right. You can finish what you were saying.
No, I think I'm done. I think I'm just going to say that you would not like that at all or something.
Yeah, I realized I started talking just when Justin was saying something else. My apologies to that. But the one thing also, Mark... Oh, that's... The one thing, Mark, that I've also noticed is that on some of our videos, you've been kind of asking a lot of blatantly obvious questions, and we did tell you about this, and yet you get it for about a short time, then you go back to doing it again. Because a recent example is on episode number 20 of my first season of Press Your Luck. You, in the second question round, after the first spin round, when Kyle was leading the game, and everybody missed the first question, Mark, you interrupted proceedings with a blatantly obvious question asking if Kyle would win the game, assuming nobody earned any spins in round number 2.
Stupid question. And I think he asked that, man, because I remember seeing on one of his videos and stuff that nobody answered any questions in round number 2 in his game of Pressure Luck for the DVD, or not DVD, for the Wii edition. He didn't get any spins. He automatically won the game. So really, he knew the answer to the question even before it left his mouth.
That's right. And
so
Mark,
why did he still ask it anyway? No, sorry, go on.
No, Justin, you can go ahead. You can talk.
I was just gonna say, why did you ask that anyway if you already knew what the damn answer was?
I think this is something my wife says to me a lot of the time. A lot of times when people ask the blatantly obvious questions sometimes, maybe he wanted to be heard. I think a lot of the time, and that's what I've been noticing about Mark, is he likes to be heard a lot. And the thing about it is, he'll cut you off and cut others off so he could be heard. Just like in his videos and stuff, he'll talk over you while you're talking, while you have your thoughts. Excuse me. He'll talk over you during the videos and stuff. He can become rude sometimes. And, I mean, Mark, you gotta work on that. Like, even during when Steve and I was talking, you had your video game so loud. And I really told him, and I told him in so many words, I told him to turn the fucking, turn that fucking shit down. Because, I mean, we're talking and stuff. Why you want to speed your volume up while we're trying to talk?
And not to cut you off, Rodney, but that's not what a true friend acts. A true friend would let somebody talk and not interrupt, because, I mean, if you're being a true friend, you would mute your mic and let the person talk. But if you just play your stuff over them, that's not being a friend. That's just showing rudeness to others.
Yeah.
I said I was going to say anything, but I had to say something on that topic.
Well,
Yeah,
that's good, Gary.
I want to add, I know this has nothing to do with your video, Matthew. Y'all guys, do not use the N-word on my channel. Because, I mean, it's going to get you reported. Jake the Snake 709, I think his name is, he called me the N-word. I reported him.
That's
And
good.
he's definitely red carded for my channel. Y'all will not use the N-word on my channel.
Neither on mine. Because if somebody calls me that, I'm going to take care of it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the one thing, and getting back to the point, and I respect your decision on that, Rodney. I'm going to call that relevant, even if it's on your channel. The one thing also, Mark, you may have heard this on my yellow card video for Rodney, but you had initially won $12,498 when Steve whammied on the last spin, losing over $40,000 in his quarterfinal match. And for that, Mark, now unfortunately Steve is not on the Skype call, so unfortunately he's going to have to watch this, but I'm sure he already knows, because he was on the yellow card video with Rodney. But Mark, in case you couldn't hear, I've decided to vacate your spot in my Pressure Luck Tournament of Champions. Even though you won your quarterfinal match with $12,498, I unfortunately am going to be left with no choice but to scratch your name and your score. And initially, Steve had over $40,000. I'm going to reach back in and give him back the money, even though he whammied on the last spin. So Steve is going.
Game too.
Yeah. So that's right. So Steve is going to advance in the tournament, and Mark, I'm sorry to have to say this, but you're going to have to pack your bags. And also, I found out that Rodney has also decided to ban you from games on his channel. And what did you say about that, Rodney?
Well, I said that, well, he knows that he's going to be on the yellow card for 6 months. That's going to be until April 24th, 2014. Also, on top of everything, he's not going to play any game show games for the next 2 months on my channel. That's going to be until Christmas. I mean, because I have to set order on my channel. I mean, when I say something on my channel, that's why I mean, do not post spoilers on the channel. I said that clear as day on September 1st.
That's right, because it does take all the fun out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm going to enforce almost the same thing, because Mark, although Rodney is very serious about his channel, and this is his channel, he can do what he wants, but I'm actually going to be a little bit more, I'm actually going to reduce the time, because I'm going to do the same thing as Rodney, except I'm not going to allow you to play any games on my channel, because obviously, Mark, I know I'm the same thing, but unfortunately, and I feel like that I have kind of gotten rid of my problems, because when I came on Skype, I was pretty arrogant and such, and kind of acting like a total loser. But I learned to actually be more considerate, because I realized that I was not being very nice with people, kind of telling them to not do this, not do that. But I feel like I've actually kind of gotten rid of all of that, and I have actually gotten a lot better in terms of my attitude, because I'm actually a lot more considerate, not like Mark, because yesterday when Ronnie was doing a Card Sharks game and there was Let's Make a Deal on, unfortunately I couldn't do much about it because I was Skyping from my grandma's desktop, and it was close to the TV, and my grandpa was home. I didn't want to turn it down, so I just muted my mic because I knew I had to go to my work pretty soon anyway.
Yeah.
That's called being considerate, and Mark, you don't really have that at all.
No, that's true. You hit it on the head, Matthew. I mean, this is why, at first, and it was like I said in the other video, at first I felt real bad that Mark's mother was yelling at him on the call and stuff, but now I understand why his mother really yelled at him, because I believe he's inconsiderate in the house, too.
And by the way, Rod, I don't mean to talk about myself in this video. I may be irrelevant. I apologize, but for you, Rodney, when the Wheel of Fortune game show is on, for you, I'm actually concerned, because for me, every time I watch it, I always try my best to put my TV at the right level for me to hear it and not you hear it.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, I be having my TV on sometimes when I'm on the call, but I know that I do not want to give anybody a copyright claim. What I do is I turn it down a little bit, but I still am able to hear the TV, but they're not able to hear it. That's being considerate, Mark.
And the thing is, for me, even though it pains me when I'm watching Wheel and it's not on Rodney's ear, it pains me not to guess the puzzles, but I'm being considerate, trying my best not to guess them so Rodney can figure out himself in his area.
Mm-hmm.
And the
That's being considerate.
Yes. And the reason why is that Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy both come on at various times, because I'm probably the last of these people arguably to see these two shows, because I live in Hawaii. Not because I live in Hawaii, but because the time zones are significantly different. Hawaii has its own time zone. Rodney has his own time zone because he lives in Chicago. Gary has his own because he lives in New York. And so does Justin, even though he lives in Kentucky.
Yeah, and it's just unfair. I mean, I think, Matthew, what time does Wheel of Fortune come on in your area?
It comes on at 6:30, but it's only 12 o'clock right now, even though today's Saturday.
So it's 6:30, and what time Jeopardy normally come on too?
It's 4:30 for the current episodes, but they have the episode from last season aired at 4 o'clock.
So, guys, so what's happening is this, guys, Matthew is 5 hours behind us and stuff. So for him, for me, in my case, when his shows come on, like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, when it's 4:30 over there, it's 9:30 over here, where I'm at. So really, guys, some of y'all are 6 hours ahead of Matthew. And it's completely unfair if y'all post that stuff on Facebook and Matthew has not seen the episode yet. That's why I enforced this rule, because just because you guys on the East Coast feel like y'all want to blurt out the answers and stuff and blurt out what happened on the episode, the whole country has not seen it yet. You have to be considerate of that.
I live in the East Coast.
Right.
The East Coast too, man. Sorry, go on, Gary.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. But anyways, I was saying, even if you live on the same coast as, like, another person, it doesn't mean that Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or any game shows are come on at the exact same time here.
Right, because they're syndicated game shows. When they're syndicated game shows, the game shows can come on at any time frame.
Yeah, so what y'all need to do is, y'all need to hold off on posting what happened on these game shows on Facebook until, like, basically the entire country has seen it.
Right.
I mean, it's not fair for those who haven't seen it yet.
That's right.
And the only exception, part of my interruption, the only exception that you can do that is if you know that you are not going to see it. Because I know I don't get to see Wheel if I have a basketball game to attend, and that's going to happen sometime next month. Early next month, I should say, because there's an exhibition game. It's a college basketball game it's the season of UH men's basketball that I've been going to since 1996, mind you. And sometimes it involves me missing Wheel of Fortune because of the games. So if I know I'm not going to see it, then I'm okay with it. And I'm sure everybody else is too if they know that they're not going to be home in time. Now I know I have DVR, but generally I don't get to I don't really use it a lot because I know that 9 times out of 10 I'm going to watch it.
Right.
Or even better, or even that. To add on to that, we also may have some breaking news coverages or something other that might interrupt the game shows.
Right, and that's the only time you guys can give away the outcome. Because, I mean, if we don't ask for it, if we don't ask for y'all to give up the outcome, then y'all shut y'all motherfucking mouths up. That's all. It's just that simple. I don't know what part of don't do it don't y'all understand.
That's right, and Mark is kind of borderline with that because sometimes when we tell him, he'll acknowledge it for a little while, and then he goes back to doing the same things. And
this is why I'm keeping him on a yellow card for 6 months, because I want him to get himself together. I want him to know that I mean it. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
And my yellow card status is going to almost be the same as Rodney's, even though I'm going to say also to Mark that he is not to participate in any games on my channel. He may spectate, but not take part. If it involves a question that he knows the answer to, he's free to answer. But in terms of playing, that's the line that he cannot cross. And that's going to happen, I'm going to say until the end of... I'm going to say either till Christmas or the end of this year altogether. And I'm likely going to go with the end of the year. You guys think that's fair?
It's fair because, I mean, Mark needs to know that we mean business. I mean, when we create, and I'll just say this, if you allow me to, Matthew.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why we have rules on our channel, so that way there won't be nothing going on out of order. We have to have rules on our channel. And when you break the rules on our channel, that means that it's complicated. You make it complicated for others to enjoy these channels, guys, and you have to learn how to follow rules.
That's exactly right.
That also makes it very chaotic and all that.
Right.
And the one thing also, Mark, is that I know that this is kind of like an incident that's probably at least a couple years old, and I really don't want to bring it up. So I'm going to bring up something different. The real ace in the hole for me came last year around my birthday. Now, I know I brought this up on Rodney's video. But the one thing also, Mark, is that you have a bad habit of poking your nose in other people's businesses, especially when they're really down in the dumps. That's what happened to me last year. My friend couldn't make it to my birthday dinner after I had invited her, and unfortunately, I had also suffered a double whammy because Chad Reed crashed out of the 2012 Supercross season and eventually the rest of the year at the Dallas Supercross, just about very close to my birthday. And unfortunately, I just came home from church. I remember this day like it's yesterday. I had just came home from church because Arlington was live. And I came home from my church. The main was going on, and it was a cat and mouse battle between Chad Reed and Ryan Villapoto. And Reed was stalking Villapoto for about 4 or 5 laps. And then on lap 6, he drops the front end off a triple into a sand section. He's out of the race. And then later we found out that it's a knee injury and it's not just him knocking the wind out of himself. And I had every right to be down in the dumps then because we were seeing some good racing, and then after that, it was just Villapoto snooze fest for the rest of the year until Seattle when he injured his knee. And that put him out for the rest of the year. And then I was thinking, okay, this couldn't get any worse. And then when I had my birthday dinner on February 20th at Outback, Mark asked how my birthday went, which I had absolutely no problem with. He asked that on my timeline. And then prior to that, I had also rejected a Skype call from him because I had to go to my birthday dinner that day. And then when I told Mark that my friend couldn't make it, he asked if he would know who she is. And Mark, the truth is, you've never been to Hawaii. Of course you wouldn't know who my friends are.
So why did you ask that anyway?
That's exactly right. It isn't your business to poke... No, that's okay, Justin. That's okay. Mark, it isn't your business to poke your nose in our businesses, especially when it really kind of makes us feel down, because the truth of the matter is, those 2 incidents were out of my control. If it's out of my control, then there's not much I can do about it. Especially, for example, if Justin, let's say, I don't know if I should say this, Justin, but if you, I remember you said that you had a bit of a problem with a girl that you met, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did.
That's out of his control, isn't it? Am I right?
I mean, I asked this girl out on Twitter. She said yes. And then, like, exactly 1 week after that, she says we're not dating. I mean, that kind of upset me. It really did.
It did. And these kind of things you can't really help. Because Justin, I don't blame you for being really down in the dumps then. Because it was out of your control. Especially when, and now, I don't know if I should say this about Ronnie, but when the government shutdown occurred, that was out of Ronnie's control because he couldn't do much about it.
It really was. But you know what pissed me off so, Matt? When Mark acted like none of this was happening. That's what pissed me off about Mark. Mark, you're very inconsiderate. I mean, 'cause I remember when we was talking about the government shutdown, all he wanted to talk about was playing a fucking game.
Oh my God.
And you know, I don't understand that, Mark. Mark, you need to get your priorities straight, get it in order. You know, it's not about no game all the time, Mark.
There's more to things in life than just playing games.
You know, and I know Leaf may disagree with me on this, and I will talk to Leaf about this too, that, Mark, Leaf, when you get to be my age and be 35 years old, well, being close to 35-year-old, like me, and you're paying your bills, and you have a wife and kids and doing all that, then you can talk to me about a life. Leaf, you can't talk to me about life because you're half my age.
And by the way, I don't mean to say, but what about the situation about me that happened to me at school when I was called the you-know-what?
Oh, yeah, he was talking about games that day. He didn't even consider you.
Remember when I was called the white you-know-what?
Yeah.
And one thing is, I don't mean to get irrelevant real quick, but I appreciate that when you guys were sticking up with me.
Well, we have to. I mean, we're friends. We have to. I mean, we just don't like bullying and stuff. I mean, but I really don't like it when people just don't be sympathetic. Mark does not have no sympathy.
That's
right, and also, sorry to cut you off, Ronnie, but also one time he did a rant video against Obama, and he's not. And this thing that really boggles my mind. He does not live in the United States.
Yeah, he was ranting about the fact that Obama interrupted the Price is Right. And I mean, I just figure, you know, he probably does not have another option in Canada because they don't have CBS up there, but still, you cannot do a rant video against our president of the United States because you're not here.
That's exactly right. And
I personally don't think we're ranting against the president anyway, so
I will never do a rant video against the president of the United States because he's our head in chief. We trust the president of the United States that he has our corner.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like him and all that, but I mean... No, Gary, go on, sorry.
No, that was my fault. But anyways, I was going to say that he may like him or hate him, still, he's our boss. He can do what he wants.
Right, he can stop Prices Right all he wants to. You know, he stopped the Jeopardy episode one time because he was going to talk about the government shutdown. And I'm fine with that because, I mean, this is stuff that we need to know. What if there's a war in the United States? What if a country is coming after us in the United States? This is stuff that we need to know. Because Price is Right is not going to put food on the table. I'm sorry to say that. I mean, and I'm saying that, I think I said that in my other video, I mean, we all got priorities in life. And you have to handle those priorities first before you have pleasure.
that's right. Like that old saying, business before pleasure. And unfortunately, we can now understand why Mark has had to do several attempts of certain games. And oddly enough, Mark, you know that Rodney said it himself, there is more to life than playing a game or even game shows. Because, me personally, I know there's a lot more to life than motocross and supercross. Because